6.3 Part 1 notes are going to be talking about what the standard form of a linear equation looks like. So standard form is where your x and your y are on the same side of the equal sign, okay? And then you're just going to have this constant over here, this c. So it's ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers, and a and b both cannot be 0. And one thing to say about standard form is that we don't want our a, b, and our c to be fractions. So we have to get rid of fractions when we're putting something in standard form. So we're going to practice to start rewriting each equation that's written in standard form as an equation in slope-intercept form. So reminder, when you're putting something in slope-intercept form, that's the form y equals mx plus b. So slope-intercept form means I need to solve for y. So I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to solve for y. So to do that, I need to move my 8x to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 8x on both sides. So 8x minus 8x is 0. Bring down my y, then equals. And I do not want to make this a 5x. That is not correct because, reminder, these are not like terms. So if they are not like terms, I cannot add and subtract them. So I'm going to, in this form, notice my x term comes first. So I'm going to write my x term first, which is negative 8x. And then I'm going to write my constant, this positive 13, last. And since y is by itself, I am finished. There's my equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, on B, again, I want to put it in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to solve for y. So I'm going to draw on my wall. First thing I need to do is I need to get rid of this negative 6x. So I need to do that by adding 6x to both sides. Negative 6x and positive 6x is 0. Bring down my 3y. Bring down my equals. Again, these are not alike, so I must write them separate. So I'm going to write my positive 6x first. My 9 is positive, so I write plus 9. Then to solve for y, I need to divide by 3. And I need to divide everything over here by 3. So 3 over 3 is 1y equals 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then my x, plus 9 divided by 3 is 3. There's my equation in slope-intercept form where I've solved for y. Okay, the next one, again, I want to put it in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to circle this y because that's what I'm solving for. And I'm going to move this x. I'm going to put a 1 in front of it, so I remember there's a 1 there. So I'm going to subtract 1x on both sides to get it to the other side. And 1x minus 1x is 0. I need to bring down, don't forget that negative, so negative 5y equals, now once again, these are not alike, so I cannot write them, or I can't combine them. I can't add and subtract them. I need to write them separate. So I need to bring down negative 1x, bring down negative 15. Then to solve for y, I need to divide by negative 5 everywhere. So when I do that, negative 5 over negative 5 is a positive 1y equals, reminder, a negative over a negative is a positive. So this is going to stay 1 over 5. Then I'm going to bring my x. And then a negative over a negative becomes a positive. And 15 divided by 5 is 3. And there's my equation in slope-intercept form. Notice that I do have a fraction in my answer, but fractions are fine if they're in slope-intercept form. So make sure you know which form you're working on and when fractions are okay and when they are not. So now we're going to look at putting it in standard form. So this is the one where I need to get rid of my fractions. So in standard form, what I'm trying to do, notice over here, is I'm trying to get my x and y terms together on the same side. So I need to take this 2x over there to my y. So I'm going to do that by subtracting. And remember, these are not like terms, so I'm going to write them separate. So I'm going to bring down my negative 2x. My y is positive, so I'm going to put a plus sign. And then equals negative 6. Okay? My a, in standard form, your a value, or your very first number, is supposed to be positive. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply everything by a negative 1 to make that first number positive. And so that's going to become positive 2x minus y equals positive 6. So all you have to do is just change all your signs to get your first number to become positive. So standard form is the form where we want everything to look good. So we want no fractions, but we also want our first number to be positive. Okay, so the second one, once again, I need to take my x over to my y. Don't freak out about the fraction. Do the same thing you've done. So if that's positive, I'm going to move it by subtracting it to both sides. Then I'm going to just draw my wall. Those are not like terms, so I'm going to bring them down. Negative 4 over 7x plus y equals, and then I have a 1. Now, I'm not finished because I can't have fractions. So to get rid of fractions, you're going to multiply by the denominator, and you have to do it everywhere. If you are unsure how to do this, then you can do this part right here on your calculator. But what happens when you multiply by the denominator is those 7s, top and bottom, cancel. So you're just left with that negative 4 over 1, which you don't write. So you just have negative 4 and then your x. And then you do the rest. Plus 7y equals 7. And we're close, except we want to get rid of this negative right here. So we're going to multiply everything by negative 1. And so all that's going to do is change all the signs of every term. And there's my answer in standard form. Last one. Again, I want to get this in standard form. So I'm going to take my x over to the other side, and I'm going to do that by subtracting on both sides. X and y are not like terms, so I'm going to write them separate. So I have negative 1 over 5x. That's a positive y equals, and that's a negative 3 over 10. This time, you should notice I have two numbers on bottom. I have a 5 and I have a 10. And to get rid of your fractions, you have to multiply by the biggest one you see. So we're going to multiply everything by 10. Everything by 10. Okay? So when we do that, this is 10 over 1. 5 goes into itself once, goes into 10 2 times. And again, you could do this on your calculator. You could take 10 times negative 1 over 5. I'm just doing it up here. And then I'm just going to multiply. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And then I have a 1 on the bottom, which I don't write. Bring down my x. Plus y times 10 is 10y equals, and then over here, top and bottom, if they're the same, they cancel. And I'm left with negative 3. I need to get rid of my negative in front, and I do that by multiplying everything by negative 1. So I have positive 2x minus 10y equals positive 3. And there's my final answer in standard form. So once again, standard form, no fractions. Make sure your first value, your first coefficient is positive.